Welcome to WOW Chats, words of wisdom from people that I love, admire, and respect.
Scotty has no idea what I'm going to ask him.
I'm scared a little.
Yeah, but you know what? That's okay, because this is Dr. Scotty Butcher. He's professor here at the University of Saskatchewan College of Medicine, the School of Physical Therapy. Mm-hmm. And Scotty and I go way back.
Way back, way too far back, actually.
We went to school together in physical therapy. Mm-hmm. So I know this is going to be full of words of wisdom.
Well, we'll see.
From you. Look at, you're all like a fancy professor in your Star Wars gear and all your tattoos. And...
Well, the Star Wars and professor and tattoos don't go together in the same sentence very easily, but
it's cool.
That's okay.
It's good. Okay, so what I want to ask you, your words of wisdom. Mm-hmm. You are known, from what I see on social media, you're known to challenge beliefs, really kind of bust myths out there, just really get to the truth of things. And I know your expertise is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're into strength and conditioning and CrossFit and those sorts of things. So what I thought, since I have you here, and your knowledge and your wisdom, I respect so much.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's mutual. You're doing such good work.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, and we have Miranda filming, and I was just here guest lecturing to the PT students and putting crazy things in their heads about yoga and stuff. So
challenging beliefs.
Yes, I am. Okay, so I want to ask you, what if you had one thing that you wanted to share with, whether it's physical therapists or any therapists, exercise therapists, or even the general public, but one thing that you wanted to share that is like something that just kind of irks you or bugs you, or like a myth or your one, do you know what I'm getting at? Like what's a message you're like, hey guys, come on, I really want, this is big, I really want you to understand this.
Yeah, one thing.
Well, or a couple.
Yeah. Well, and Miranda knows there's many of them. I talk about that all the time when I talk with my students, and that I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about not only what physios do, but the role of exercise and the different types of exercise. And I think the one thing that people misunderstand when they hear me talk, and that's I guess maybe where I'm going to go with this is that when people hear me talk, I talk a lot about strength, and you're right. I see from the research as well as the experience I've got the high value in strength training and adding strength training to a rehabilitation or a general health type program. But the misunderstanding comes, especially when you pair it with CrossFit and things like that it all has to involve a barbell. I think people think deadlift and squat, and I talk about deadlifts and squats a lot. I think the big thing is people think, oh, that means a bar on the back, and that means, a bar on the floor that you're pulling these massive weights. And the reality is it's not that. That's one end of the spectrum, but the basic movement patterns that you get through squatting and hinging that lead to deadlifting and squatting are appropriate for anybody. Getting off the chair, picking something off the ground in an older adult. A lot of the people that challenge the idea of strength say, well, you're never going to get the vast majority of older adults that are in the community into a gym. That's okay. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What they need to do, in my opinion, is be taught how to move and to get moving and to do something. And if you're going to teach them patterns, the loading comes well beyond that and after that. It's not, the patterns are always the first thing that you teach. And then the loading just depends on what you have available and what's in front of you and what they want to do and making it relevant to them. So an older adult that doesn't want to go to the gym and lift a barbell, you tell them, okay, well, let's work on your ability to get out of the chair, or work on your ability to bend to pick something up off the ground, and do so maybe progressively so that you can lift something heavier and heavier. Yeah.
So would you say that physical therapists in general maybe don't load enough, or we don't introduce loading enough in our settings?
I would say so, for sure. We are a very caring profession, and I think we really take the idea of do no harm to a really, really high level, and we should, and I think that's important. But I think there's a misunderstanding that people think that you lift heavy loads, you get hurt, and that sort of goes par for the course. And in some cases that's true, but if it's based on a good movement pattern, it's based on teaching people to lift with appropriate performance markers that allow them to lift heavier, then it is a very safe way of doing it. And so I think we tend to focus a lot on the easy little fixes, which are important early on. They can be, right? To get people to buy into what you're doing, you want something that can improve on them and make a difference very, very early. But we tend to stay there, and we tend to stay safe. And I think the general principles of strength and conditioning apply to everyone, rehab or otherwise. And taking people to the next level of prevention or function, and taking that to the point where we can actually make some longer term gains rather than the short term focus, to me, is really important. And I don't want us as a profession to stay married in the short term fix, right? I think really where we should be going, in my opinion, as physiotherapists, is into the prevention realm, and the prevention and wellness and maintenance realm.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I love
That's
it.
why you're doing what you're doing too.
I know. Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, we'll do in part 2 because I have another
Sure.
question, but we'll wrap this one up. Words of wisdom from Scotty Butcher.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelly.
Thanks for listening to my WOW Chats, words of wisdom from people I love, admire, and respect.